When we left here on Friday, I said there's no way that he's going to Cleveland. Now, on Thursday, Deshaun Watson and his camp basically told Cleveland and Carolina, you guys are out. We're going to either Atlanta or New Orleans. And then we also heard on Friday that they pushed back Matt Ryan's $7 million roster bonus that was going to be paid tomorrow. And doing that, it seemed like that Atlanta was trying to figure out how they were going to be able to fit Deshaun Watson's initial contract from Houston within their salary cap, and in the meantime, try to trade Matt Ryan to another team and have the other team pay the $7 million roster bonus. So that's what happened when we left on Friday. Well, lo and behold, Andrew Berry, the general manager of the Cleveland Browns, said, no, wait a minute. And he called Nick Caserio of the Houston Texans and said, look, this is what we're giving you, 3 first-round picks, 2 other picks, plus we want to talk to Deshaun Watson and his agent, and we want to let him know that we are not only going to give him a new contract, we're going to give him a $74 million raise, and we're going to guarantee $230 million of that contract, which is the entire 5 years. So Deshaun Watson essentially signs an NBA contract.
Yep.
And when you look over the next, let's say, 5 years, and you look at the most contracted cash in sports, okay? Deshaun Watson at $230 million. Joel Embiid, $229 million. Steph Curry, $215 million. Luka Doncic, $207 million. Max Scherzer, $205, although he hasn't out there. Kevin Durant's only making $193 million. Patrick Mahomes, $191 million. Giannis Antetokounmpo, $168 million. Anthony Rendon, $188 million. And, of course, Aaron Rodgers, $186 million. So I tweeted on Friday, I said, finally, an NFL player has broken the glass ceiling that the owners have had over the players since the inception of the NFL. And I went on strike in '87 as the highest paid player in the league. And one of the things that I was fighting for was guaranteed contracts, long-term health and benefits, and pension benefits. And because I saw a lot of the guys that were retiring around when I was just starting have nothing, and we're leaving with injuries. And here we are, some 35 years later, and of all people, to get a $230 million guaranteed contract is a guy that has 22 civil suits against him. And, this isn't a coincidence. I mean, it is stunning. It's breathtaking. Like, I could not believe what I had just seen. It was one thing if he was going to get traded to either New Orleans or Atlanta, G, and he was going to go there with his contract, and he was going to try to, redo his reputation, and he's a great football player. We all know that. But for what Cleveland did here and how they structured the contract is what is so incredibly insulting, because we all know that he is going to get suspended at some point.
He has to be by the personal conduct policy. It would be a shocker if he didn't.
Right. So what did Houston do? This is the other part of it. Houston told him, Cleveland. Cleveland told him, if you come to us, not only will we give you a $230 million fully guaranteed contract, which, by the way, I'm happy for the NFL players. Don't get me wrong. I see that as a win for the NFL players. But not only that, we're going to pay you $46 million in the first year, 45 of which will be a signing bonus. Only $1 million then will be available for the NFL to take from you if they suspend you. And if they suspend him, let's say 10 games, that means it will be about $60,000 a game, $600,000 total out of the $230 million he will receive. Plus, he got paid fully last year for not playing. And he's got these 22 civil suits out there. You can say whatever you want. I mean, I'm like really conflicted over the whole thing, but it's mind-numbing and stunning when I think about all the things that have gone on in this league for the last 35 years in terms of compensation for the players. This is finally the contract now that every agent is going to want for their players.
Oh, the rest of the owners in football are not going to be happy about this.
No, there are 31 owners.
This changed the game. A couple of things. One, you were asking me the question, why would he go to Cleveland? Cleveland gave you the answer. We're going to give you an unprecedented contract that no one's ever had in the history of the NFL. And the other thing is, I mean, they feel confident, the Cleveland Browns. They put out statement after statement after statement that will come back to bite them if there is more information that comes out or there's a suspension or a settlement with the civil lawsuits about how much research they did on Deshaun Watson to make sure that everything was okay. To me, the research that they did was there's not going to be any criminal charges, and the civil stuff is just going to be basically the he said, she said thing, and they're going to hide behind that, and that's going to be the end of it. That's the research they did because they pursued him as hard as they've ever pursued any player or any team's ever pursued any player in the history of football after the grand jury said no charges.
They were told, no, you are not in it. Atlanta and New Orleans as the teams were going to. They called back and said, wait a minute, time out. I don't think you understand the lengths that we are willing to go to. Now, we're all going to have our initial reactions to all of this. And the NFL is basically going to hand down, I think, what's going to be an unprecedented suspension. I don't know how they can't. I mean, it's got to be a significant suspension. So there is a chance that this year could be a wash.
You think he's going to get suspended for a year?
No, but I'm just saying, like he gets suspended for 10 games. I mean, like, this is like, listen.
Wait, hold on. So they're going to pay him $46 million this year. He's going to get suspended for 10 games?
Could be.
Now, is he going to make that money? Probably not, right?
No. He makes $45 million this year.
No matter what.
No matter what. The only thing that the NFL can touch when it comes to suspension is his salary. And that's why Cleveland wrote the contract the way they did. Yeah. So the only thing that will be exposed to any sort of suspension will be the $1 million salary that he is owed. Now, if he would have stayed on his other contract, his initial contract, that he signed with Houston, and when he signed that, oh man, this is going to be where I want to spend my whole career. 1 year after that, he wanted out of there.
Sure, yeah.
So who's to say? Well, I can't imagine him doing this to the Cleveland Browns. And let's not forget that the ownership of the Cleveland Browns, they're sketchy too. They own those truck stops called Pilot Flying J.
Yeah, that's right. Jimmy Haslam. Yeah.
Right. And they had a number of their executives, including their CEO, basically go to jail for 150 months, for fraud. And you're going to sit here and tell me that this jackass didn't know anything about it?
Sure.
I mean, so I don't he was reporting to the CEO. Or the CEO was reporting to him.
Yeah, right.
But I just it's stunning.
You seem angry about it. You said you were conflicted. You seem a little upset about it. It seems like you wanted this to happen for somebody, but the fact that it happened for Deshaun Watson is problematic. That's what it seems like to me.
If he would have went to Atlanta or New Orleans and stayed on his contract, I'd be like, okay, he's going to get suspended. They're going to go pierce a bigger number than they'll be able to pierce right now. But the fact that they wrote the contract this way, and I can't wait to hear what Lisa Friel and the NFL have to say. I really can't wait to hear it. And, when you leave...
But when are they going to come to a decision?
Immediately, again, what you do is when something like this happens, you start going through the history of some of the things that have been written about this particular case. And Jenny Ventris on Sports Illustrated has an amazing article, and she's actually talking to somebody who's not a part of the 22 civil cases and was also not a part of the criminal charges, but she's out there. She's out there. She's like on an island. She did not want to sign with Busby, the lawyer for the 22 civil complainants, because she didn't feel like, that he had her best interest at heart.
Yeah, I mean, that guy's got, I don't know, seems a little slippery.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing, too, because you don't know, again, but there's 22 women in this case. It's not like one or two.
There was already a woman outside of Kevin Stefanski's house. I saw a picture of with a sign protesting. It said 22 women didn't lie. So that's already starting.
That's what I kind of feel like. I kind of feel like that, too, but we're all going to have this initial reaction. I was stunned on Friday. I really was. I was stunned at just the way that they wrote the contract.
Well, it's desperation is what it is. I mean, this is pure NFL desperation.
I will say this, in speaking to my buddy Frank, who had gone up against him.
You finally got a hold of him.
Yeah, I got a hold of him. I said, I don't want to talk about anything off the field. I just tell me again what you think about him on the field. He goes, Boomer, man, he is a game-changing player. He goes, I don't know what to tell you other than the fact that I can. He goes, from a football standpoint, there's no doubting the obvious ability on the field. There's nothing that he can't do on the football field and hasn't already done and will continue to do. I didn't get into all the other stuff with him, and he's got his own quarterback situation he's got to figure out anyway for the 5th year in a row. But I don't know. This is just it's precedent setting, it's glass ceiling breaking. It's 31 owners probably around the league just like going, what the hell did you just do? And, and then on top of all of this, remember, you got the whole Daniel Snyder situation down in Washington. And, what did the NFL do with him? Well, they said, okay, $10 million fine, and you can't run your ball club. But
right, but he runs it in the shadows.
Well, his wife is the CEO.
Well, right, exactly. He's pulling the strings still.
And that's, the NFL, I don't know. Look, they're a PR machine. I love the NFL. I love everything about the game. I love covering the game. I love being a part of the league the way that I'm a part of the league. And it just goes to show you that I was hoping that this was all going to go away. Like, in other words, either there would be some sort of global settlement or there'd be some sort of answer. And maybe there will be, 3 to 4 months from now. I don't know. But as we sit here right now, and the way that the Browns wrote this contract and what they gave up to get him and the way that they're fawning over themselves that they have him is, I don't know. It's just
off-putting.
It's just really like stunning.
Well, I mean, this is a team and an owner. They've never won a Super Bowl. They've been the laughingstock of the league for a long time prior to the last couple of years where they were a lot more competitive. And they were desperate as all hell to make something happen. And someone, because of these bizarre and really disturbing circumstances, became available to them, and they decided to go all in. And there were other teams that were going to go to a certain point, and the Browns decided to go all in because they've been the Browns. And I think they're tired of being the Browns. And this is what they decided to do. And they said, whatever we have to deal with in the short term with this will be worth it for us. This is what they're thinking in the long term. And I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that it's going to work out.
Well, nobody knows. Look, they are rolling the dice, man. And remember last week we were talking about the amount of money that's being thrown around? The salary cap in a couple of years is going to be over $300 million. So guys like Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow are going to get paid, enormous money. Enormous money because of this contract. And if they have 2 good years this year, if one of those teams goes to the playoffs or if they play each other in the AFC Championship game, I can't even imagine what the contracts are going to look like, which is good, which is great, which is what, hell I was fighting for some 35 years ago. So I feel good about that part of it. And, it's great to see, Aaron Rodgers get his guaranteed money, Devontae Adams. But those contracts aren't written the way that Deshaun Watson's contract is written. Deshaun Watson's contract is written like the Nets wrote a contract for Kyrie Irving or, Kevin Durant. I'm not saying that, Kyrie may have some issues, not like this, but they were paying him even though he wasn't playing. And they paid.
And that's what's going to happen this year if he gets suspended.
Yeah,
he's going to be getting paid again for a second straight year, by the way. Let's not forget he got paid for all of last year and didn't play a game.
Exactly. So here's the thing. Somebody in the NFL is going to have to come out and basically say, this is what we found out in our investigation, that everything that Deshaun Watson did was understood between he and the person that was working on him as a massage therapist. I don't know how else. Where does this go? If
they said that, then there wouldn't be any suspension, right?
Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Now look, they tried to bring criminal charges against them, and you very rarely see a grand jury turn down an indictment. Very rarely, because there's no defense there. It's only one side giving the information. Mm-hmm. And so that is significant in itself, and I think that's the first thing that once that was lifted. everybody felt like, you know what?
That's time to go get Deshaun Watson. That's what the Browns said.
There's going to be some issues here for sure, but we'll live with those issues in the short term because in the long term, it's going to pay off.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the red bell so you're notified when we have new content.